Hi, welcome back to Walk, Run, Soar. This is part 2 on this Saturday, and I just had to show you almost all that snow is melted, which is great, but there's some crazy wind, and it's gonna still get really cold tonight, but at least the snow's gone and I don't have to worry about driving in that to church tomorrow. So just thought I'd share, real life. So let me get back over here, my little spot. So part 2 is get up and walk. Our verse is John chapter 5 verses 8 through 9. Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. She shares a couple of examples of friends that she's had, how they've used running as a kind of therapy as they're going through other hard times in their life. She had one friend that was going through a kind of hard divorce, and she would get up early in the morning and take a run, and while she was running she told herself, hey, if I can get up early like this and get this run in, I can make it through this day. She had another friend who was also a widow that took up hiking. And that time that she would go hiking was just her time to breathe and to, take a step out of the crazy whirlwind of things that were going on since she had lost her husband. It says studies show that exercise has not only physical health benefits, but mental and psychological benefits too. Running, walking, and hiking actually affects our brains. And this next part, I was like, well, duh. God designed exercise as a pathway to healing. He sort of just did it on purpose. That's why you get those great, when you have a really good workout. And even for me, sometimes if I wake up the next day after like a strength training workout and I'm like that really good sore, it's sore, that part's kind of uncomfortable, but it still feels really good. Man, I accomplished something, So the verse obviously is from the story of when Jesus went to the pool at Bethesda. And of course, being a huge fan of The Chosen, when I read this devotion, I immediately thought of that scene, because they did that scene, the pool at Bethesda. And, they take some liberties with, certain characters and certain names and things. But the overall, the point of the story is amazing. How that the guy was there, and he kept trying to get into the healing waters, but he could never beat the other people because he was paralyzed. And when Jesus came and asked him, "Do you want to get well?" And the guy's like, "Well, yes, of course I want to get well, but there's no one to put me in the water." And so Jesus, in the show anyway, and in his word too, it's like, you don't need that water, all you need is me. And he told him to get, let's make sure I get it right. Get up, pick up your mat, and walk. Jesus gave those 3 directives. And he does that several times in several healings that he performs. There's another paralyzed man. He says almost the exact same thing. Get up, take up your mat, and go home. When he raises the little girl from the dead, he says, get up. And she, is brought back from the dead, which that only happens a handful of times, These examples serve as reminders that Jesus can heal us and guide us into a new life, but we have to trust him, get up, and walk. So I thought that was good that this devotion and the one I did this morning were paired together, because it comes back to faith and comes back to trust, and that can be really hard sometimes. Our faith step: is there something in your life that you need healing for today? Why do you think Jesus asked the sick man that poignant question, do you want to get well? If Jesus asked you that question, how would you respond? Take some time to journal your response. Hey, there's that journaling word again. It is funny, that part of the story that he asks a guy who has spent a really long time at that pool trying to get into the water, do you want to get well? Yes. But obviously that wasn't the way to do it. And Jesus was able to perform something miraculous and, you know, provide a great faith story for us to put our trust in. Our inspirational quote is from Galen Rupp, American distance runner and two-time Olympic medalist, discussing his mentality. I promise I can read English. Discussing his mentality about needing heel surgery. Oh boy. I made it a point to stop trying to have a victim mentality or to say, poor me, or why is this happening? I was like, all right, you have to get this done. As an athlete, you have to truly believe deep down to your core that you're going to get through this and come back and be just as strong as you were before. I think that when an athlete is able to get to that mindset, because I mean, you participate in any sort of athletic thing, you're probably going to get hurt. And sometimes it can be pretty traumatic, whatever injury you get. Instead of wallowing in it, be like, all right, we're gonna find a way. Some of my favorite people, just, you know, everyday people, not like pro athletes, but that I've come to, you know, watch on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, have done that. They, you know, they had their moment where, oh gosh darn, I'm hurt. This, you know, it can be a downer for a bit, but they've overcome and they've gone on to do amazing things, and still accomplish really great goals. And those are the people that are really inspiring. Our training notes: when you begin to feel the onset of an injury, immediately reduce your running volume and intensity. It's better to sacrifice a couple of runs up front rather than risk more serious injury than necessitates resting for weeks or even months. I went to school for athletic training, so I worked with athletes for a little while, and that was one thing that I always told them. I'm like, yeah, I could tape you up and you could sort of, you know, survive through a game or through a practice, but it's just gonna prolong that injury. Rather miss a game, miss a practice, take care of it, and you'll be better off in the long run. So that's really, really good advice. So I guess our theme for today, day 10, between these two devotions, is trust. And like I've said this morning and just now, I have a hard time with that sometimes. Adversity was the word. My husband helped me remember when I was thinking it was controversy, but that wasn't it. It was adversity. I don't deal with adversity very well sometimes. I get stressed and I'm just, you know, and I get into that mindset of poor me, why is this happening? Instead of just, this is what it is. This is what God wants me to do about it. And I'm going to trust him and have faith that he knows what he's doing. It can be really hard sometimes. So know that if you struggle with that too, that I feel you. So I hope it's been a good Saturday for everybody. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. I really like this book so much. And I will, even though I give little highlights and I do read the quote and things, I encourage you, if any part of you likes this, to get the book. And maybe it's meant to be done over 52 weeks, over a year, and it has all that extra training stuff. Get the book. You know, it's really good. So tomorrow, my 10K video is coming out from Princess, so I'm very excited about that. So be sure to check that out, and I will be back with Walk, Run, Soar on Monday. Have a great weekend.